So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Simardeep Kaur Sahani this side, yours truly, the Physio Medic. So today we have Dr. Dhwani with us.
Hi.
So here we are for a little chit chat session,
Yes, of course.
and will also Dr. Dhwani will give us some information. In fact, much information about neurophysiotherapy and related to it much more. So let's get started with the video, and I hope that it helps and solves all your doubts, queries, or anything related to neurophysiotherapy as well as physiotherapy. So let's get started. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay. So firstly, starting with, let's start like how you thought of getting into physiotherapy and why did you choose physiotherapy?
Absolutely. So I was 12 years old when my grandmother got a paralytic attack, a brain stroke. And I remember when I went to the hospital after 4 or 5 days, I remember I was making her have soup and it was still dripping from her mouth. And the doctor entered and said that you can take her home and she's discharged and she's fine. So I was like, she's not even able to stand. How is she okay? And why are you telling her to go home?
Yeah.
So for me, it always felt like if you got discharged from hospital, you are fine. She wasn't. So then he said, now I cannot do anything. It's the physiotherapist's job.
Yeah.
And that was in 1999. That was the first time I ever heard the name physiotherapy. So after that, it took us like a week to search a physiotherapist because that time you didn't have Just Dial or Google or something. So we asked a lot of people. And then I remember in 6 months, he used to come home first and then we started going to the clinic. In 6 months, she could walk really well with, of course, a lot of stops and a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
But she could walk back, she could go down the stairs. For me, without medicines or without surgery, for her to go from bed to go back to walking was miracle. And that's when I decided that I am going to be a neurophysiotherapist, not just physiotherapy, but a neurophysiotherapist.
Yes. So back then there was not much awareness about physiotherapy, and we have to do like a 4.5 year course for physiotherapy.
Yes.
So how was your parents' reaction? Like you were doing physiotherapy and your relatives, your society, like did they accept it or like they were in shock?
Absolutely. So I don't have a story which said that, I wanted to choose MBBS and I didn't get marks. It wasn't like that. My mom was very, very supportive. And she was in fact, the one who said that I think it's a very amazing field and which is very upcoming. Because I knew the struggles of the family which we faced when my grandmother got, a stroke. So I knew that I didn't want anybody else to face that. And I feel like it was an amazing journey to do your CT. Then after that, go into a medical college, a physiotherapy college. So it was a lot of fun. The society, I mean, I don't think it mattered to me, frankly.
Yeah.
So I was very proud. I never got into this rut of doctor bolna hai ya nahi bolna. I didn't care. I think I was doing great work. So being a physiotherapist gave me a lot of chances to make lives better. So it didn't matter about what people said.
Because nowadays like people more focus on the prefix doctor.
Correct.
Like that's why.
I think it's not needed at all. You focus on good work and focus on making a difference to lives. You will automatically get respect. You don't need to fight for a doctor. Fight for doing good work. That's important.
So can you tell about your masters and where have you done it?
Yes. So I did my masters from Coventry. At that point, they had a masters in neurophysiotherapy.
Okay.
And I did it after 2 years of my bachelor's. I worked at multiple places, in clinics, in hospitals. To my regret, I would say that I learned what not to do there. Because I remember treating a patient who had knee pain and a patient with stroke and Parkinson's the same way. The same lying down exercises, the same standing exercises. So then that questioned a lot of things, and I felt like if the pathology is different, goals are different, physiology is different, why am I treating the patients the same way? So I did not really learn much post the bachelor's, sadly. I went to my master's thinking that I know what not to do. Now I have to know what to do. The best part when I went for my master's in Coventry, which is in UK, the first paper that I had to write was patient-centered care. And you have to write papers, you have to read a lot of research. And that really intrigued me, and I was like, wow, this is something that I have to do. So I had a small diary, which I knew from that day that I wanted to have a setup. The first line I had written is, it has to be a patient-centered care. It has to be very patient-focused. It doesn't matter what I want to do. It has to be about them.
Yes.
So that was really very nice. And eventually I learned that we need to have a lot of clinical reasoning. Our assessments need to be very, very robust. And the edge that Indians have is we've seen a lot of patients. So I feel that hand skills are amazing we have. So we just need to fine tune it with a good blend of research, evidence base, and skills.
Yeah.
So I feel then I think we're the best then.
Yes. So you have done your bachelor's in India and then master's abroad. So what do you think you saw the difference in treating patients as well as academics in India and abroad?
I think we are here very uh, book focused and very theory focused, even when we see a lot of patients. So I feel we need to adapt. Like we did a lot of techniques which were completely outdated. Everyone knows diathermy is outdated, but still in every college we're using diathermy, and that's not okay. Focus on newer techniques like, you know, Pilates. I feel it's a fantastic technique that I learned, and you should adapt that in colleges right now. A lot of mobilization techniques for musculoskeletal. I am sure there's a lot of new research happening at musculoskeletal level. We didn't learn NDT, PNF, which I feel is the basis of neurophysiotherapy. So I feel adapt to that because I think we have fantastic patient load, which we can learn so much. The professors are very, very smart. They're teaching well. So let's focus on knowledge rather than what the theory says and getting really scared in the vivas.
Yeah.
I feel that really needs to change.
If like someone had to ask you to suggest to study in India or abroad, what you would suggest them?
India, 100%. I came back. You know,
Yes,
we need really good physiotherapists to have a better society. The amount of stroke, the amount of disabilities we are having.
Yes.
I think we really need good physios to change that. Younger population getting it is it's disrupting the economy. Look at it that way.
Yes.
So I feel that we really need great physiotherapists to change that. Hands-on is great. I think we have very good theory, which is also important to learn, but we need to focus on newer work and skills.
Yes. So also Dr. Dhwani is the founder of Miran Studio. So can you tell us a little about Miran? Like what challenges you faced while you were on the journey of opening a clinic and how did you set up and everything?
Wow. Okay. It's exactly 4 years back, 2021. It was after the birth of my second baby. She was 6 months old, and I was like, this is it. I want to now set up a clinic. And we were at the brim of the second wave. I remember that very well.
Yes.
But I was like, nothing doing. I'm going to still go for it. I started the clinic with one bed, one reformer. A chair was like the plastic chair because we could not order further because of Amazon and the COVID, I remember. So I had these two chairs and I had one small table which was in my go down. I called for it, and that's how I started. It was very difficult in the start because as a neuro rehab owner, to say no to musculoskeletal work is very difficult. It's very difficult because that's how you're going to get a lot of people. But once you say yes to a THR or TKR, you can never say no then. And then you get stuck there. I wanted to be a specialized neuro rehab center, and I made sure that we spread knowledge that way. It was difficult because we spread knowledge through Instagram. It was a very slow process, but the best part was whoever entered Miran has been a good part of Miran in terms of they recovered very well, they achieved their goals. So that made me very happy. And slowly and gradually, from 21 to now, from team having one person in the team, and now we are a team of 9 neurophysiotherapists and other helpers that we have. So I think it's been great.
Yeah. So what do you think about women entrepreneurship in the physiotherapy field, like in the upcoming
Only
years?
80% is women. So what? I mean, I think women can multitask to next level, and that's what entrepreneurship means. They can literally they have like 10 tabs open in their brain. So I don't feel like at any point we are less. I think we are more, and people need to learn from us about multitasking. But I always say this in a good spirit that if we feel that our society is patriarchal, it is a responsibility of the patriarchy to help the women to go forward. People who dominate, they have to help women to go forward because finally, it's both the genders to make a life better. Physiotherapy has no gender.
Yeah.
You don't say a he physiotherapist or a she physiotherapist. We need good experts. We need good therapists. to make this society better and help in advising people to live a better quality of life, be
Yeah.
there's a patient or not. So I
So
think
how do you think entrepreneurship is important in physiotherapy field?
I think it's extremely important. We need smaller setups to run because we don't have that many. It's the system out in India is very different than system everywhere else. So we need smaller setups. We need individual setups because I feel like right now Tier 1 cities are being able to fulfill the needs slowly and gradually. But what about the towns and certain villages? So that is something that people from everywhere should come in and set up setups and help people around.
Yes. So let's come to robotics. So yes, so you have a lot of robotics in your studio. So what do you think about it? Like, do we really need robotics or manual therapy is enough for a neurophysiotherapist?
So I will tell you, it's not like I had it from day one. I started my journey in 2011, and now it's 2025. I have treated patients; they have gotten better. I've used techniques like NDT, PNF, MRP, everything, and they've gotten better. But when 4 years back, when I took up robotics, when I got that, I realized that it changed the way people looked at neurophysiotherapy because it has to be interesting. Certain conditions like Parkinson's, stroke, it's very tedious. The process becomes very tedious. So you can't make them do the same thing. You have to include certain fun elements in their therapy. So it's really engaging. They look forward for something. There are games involved. So then, it's an interactive thing. So they feel like, oh, the machine was doing 50% and I was doing 50.
Yeah.
But today, the machine is doing 40% and I'm doing 60. So it's feel like a winner. It's really nice. So robotics helps in that way. And yes, there are certain ways I would say, especially with certain conditions of spinal cord injuries, where getting dorsiflexion is very difficult in general, very difficult. That's the last thing that comes. So we tried that with a number of patients. So we started using a lot of ankle dorsiflexion in the start itself. Because if you've not got hip flexors, you're not going to focus on the dorsiflexors at all. So we started using that at the start when therapy was focused on hip and knee. But with robotics, we used to do smaller movements like dorsiflexion and everything. And that we realized in 3 to 4 months, we started getting heel to toe gait, which is fantastic. It just amps up the recovery process. Also, other work like balance exercises on stable and unstable surface with an interactive thing. It's almost like a biofeedback. How mirror works. So I think biofeedback in general also has so much of research behind it because it's interactive to the patient.
Yes.
That really works very well.
So do you think it gives an edge to the patients as well as the therapist?
Absolutely. That's the first thing they ask me. I'm like, do you have
Yes.
robotics? Do you have this? And I'm just like, yes. So they want to come in. They want to try something new. You want to, if they're coming to the rehab center, they don't want to do the same thing they did at home. They want to try something new. And especially with us, Neuro Pilates give us a very big edge. So it's not just the robotics, it's also newer techniques and skills.
Yes. So what is that one difference that you have seen in treating patients with robotics and without robotics?
I think they lose interest.
Yeah.
I would not say the technique of the therapist. It's not like we've not treated patients and got them to completely independent walking, and the time.
Motivation.
Yes, and I feel like they start missing sessions. They find it very tedious. But if you include robotics, it's still motivating them. And the time. I feel if something I can achieve in 12 months, I started achieving it in 7 or 8 months. So
Yes.
that became very interesting, and it really gives a boost to the patients.
Yes. So what is that one difference that you have seen in treating neuro patients as compared to the MSK or orthopedic patients?
A lot of difference. I don't think even that's the topic to discuss. That's my first aim that I told you. I realized what not to do is something I learned. If you have a patient, orthopedic, coming with a knee pain, you have to check why it is there. Is it osteoarthritis, a ligament issue, meniscal issue, what it is? You're working on pain, range of motion, functionality, everything. Completely different. But if it is the same knee pain with a patient with Parkinson's, you have to look at it in such a different way. You look at the gait, you look at the balance, you look at why the rigidity probably is happening. So that is the issue. So your whole pathophysiology completely changes. The biomechanics changes. So your approach has to change. So I feel like it's completely different.
Yes. So as now the neurophysiotherapy community and MSK community is getting cluttered in the physiotherapy field. So but there are still some things lacking in the physiotherapists in providing the service or treating the patient. So what is that one thing you think that is lacking in spite of the number of physiotherapists that are coming today?
I think first one is the pay parity. I think
Yeah.
people are moving abroad is because of the pay parity.
Yes.
So I feel as entrepreneurs or individual owners or wherever the corporate setups or hospitals need to pay the physiotherapists well, but they also need to deliver. Because you see a lot of patients are doing doctor shopping and they will say he's charging me $100 less, so I'm going there. But if you have that expertise and you know that you're doing well, you have to kind of put your foot down and say this is my expertise and deliver. So I feel that is something, and I think physiotherapists need to come together and say that I'm not going to charge lesser than this.
Yes.
Because I've seen a lot of times that physios charge lesser than probably a massage
Yeah.
therapist, which is sad, absolutely sad. You do not want that to kind of happen.
Yes.
So I feel like we need to all put our foot down and say this is what I'm offering
Yeah.
and this is what my worth is. So get
Yes.
together. Everybody needs to be on the same page, and I think then we can make a better community.
Yes. So, what is that one thing that you see in academics as well as in the treating patients part back then and now? Like, what is that one?
I am
difference
very
you are
sorry if there's nothing changed,
seeing? Yes.
and that is a sad part. I did it
Yes.
15 years back.
The syllabus
It's not changed. So there is no change. I still see students being all over the place, struggling on what is right, what is wrong. But now they have a lot of access to Google, so they're learning the wrong things.
Wrong things.
So there is a lot of misinformation out there.
Yes.
So there is no one skilled person who's coming and saying this is the right way to treat.
Yeah.
Influencers are there. There are a lot of places where people are OT doing chiropractors.
Yeah.
Physios are doing just cupping and acupuncture. So everybody is very all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of misinformation there, but that needs to kind of change, and the syllabus needs to change. It needs to be updated. As I said, diathermy is the only place that is used in the world is India. Why would you do that? You have to update yourself.
Yes.
So, and another thing is that the teachers are not approachable.
Yeah.
They're not. I never liked the fact that I was only scared. In Viva, they just came to they did not come to teach you anything or test you. They came to know that what you don't know, I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah.
I remember this whole thing that when I had my Viva, I answered everything well. And in the end, she asked me something that probably was not even related to the subject. So I was just like, I answered so well. Why would you do that? So yeah, that is what it is.
Yes.
So that needs to really change. Knowledge has to be a journey, a very good and fun process. So which I feel I found after passing out.
Yeah. So, what is today's generation lacking in terms of academics as well as treating patients? Like one thing that you think they are missing it.
Yes, I feel. As I said, Google Learning, we should stop. Second thing is doing these 2-day courses. NDT is a 17 to 18-day course in adult. Please, you cannot finish them in 2 days.
Yes.
There is a reason why they have done. It becomes Chinese whispers. People who've learned NDT and then are teaching you, it's a Chinese whisper.
Yeah.
They say that it's always like you only gain 60-70% of the knowledge and then you're passing on only 40-50%. Don't do that. If you feel that financially it's difficult, wait for it. Ask somebody that, can you get this person here? PNF also. It's a 10-day course, PNF 1 and 2. It's a reason why it is a 10-day course. Don't finish in 2 days. So that's something don't do. Get yourself internationally certified, not because of the value of international certification. You're learning from the pioneers who have created PNF. So learn from them. That's going to make it really good. And have patience. You become today physiotherapist, tomorrow you're not going to have 8 patients. Just have patience. Believe in expertise skills. That's going to take you from one, like having one patient to a lot of patients. So have a goal, write it down, and you're just going to be very successful. Just have patience.
Like also the communication is missing in today's physios. Like they are not able to communicate well with the patients, which is very important. In
the most important, वो patient education का 5 marks का लिखते हो ना, please, that is important. Actually explain in layman terms what has happened to you, why it has happened. There are so many times patients walk into the clinic and I'm like, आपको पता है आपको क्या हुआ है? They said नहीं, किसी ने नहीं बताया. So explain to them in the layman terms कि आपको ये हुआ है, we are going to do this and achieve this for you. They don't care about range of motion or they don't care about spasticity, the tone कम करेंगे. They don't care. Ask them what you can't do. Okay, you can't climb stairs. Maybe it'll take us 6 weeks, but I'll make sure that you climb stairs. So focus on functionality and achieve that for them, even for musculoskeletal cases. Pain-free and range of motion, I'm sure with musculoskeletal cases is important, but focus on functionality.
Yeah, ADLs, like bringing back their ADLs.
Absolutely, that's very important. Yes.
Yes. So, which was the most difficult patient or a condition that you have treated until now? Like you found it really
I'll tell
tiring
you.
or
Yes, I think it was an spinal cord injury,
Yeah.
D10, and she had come to me on a wheelchair, and it was the start of my clinic, which I was the only one running it. She came in and she was in massive pain and complete paralysis, and I asked them that we kind of did some assessment and all, and I was like, this is not my case. You have to go to a surgeon. And it was COVID times that time. It was very difficult, but I had a very good surgeon colleague. I knew of him. I called him, and he's like, "Just send them. I'll look into it." And within 3 days, she got a surgery, and within a month, she came back to the clinic, and she said, "Thank you so much. Since 8 months, nobody told me I need to get a surgery."
Yes.
And then we started treating. It took a year. She was completely like, there's a lot of spasticity, tonal issues. It took us at least about 5 months to make her sit. And then making her walk, it took us a year. It was the most difficult case that we did. We used every technique with her. But I feel like, and now she had told me this one thing that she wanted to do. She used to wear sari. She's a Maharashtrian lady.
Okay.
She has to make sari and has to cook for my family all the time. And she said, this is what I want to do. So when she left, after she left, she sent me a video of her wearing a sari and cooking for her family.
Yeah.
And I feel it was the most
Rewarding.
heartwarming, rewarding, thing for me. And I was very happy. But that taught me that if it's not your case, give it to somebody who can treat it better. It's a multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah.
You have to focus on the patient and not getting a patient to treat.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Also, one of the most controversial questions, like weight, height, matters in neurophysiotherapy, as well as the gender, because generally the neuro patients are heavy or else they can't move properly. So you need to be yourself fit and strengthful to be.
Do you see me?
Yeah.
I'm 5'2", and then back then I was like probably like 54, 53 kgs.
Yes.
I still needed anybody. I will tell you an example. I had a patient post tumor. She had right-sided paralysis and she was completely flaccid. And she had two sons who were like 25, 27 years old and her husband. So they used to pick her up from the wheelchair and put her on the bed and vice versa. So I went to her probably 4 or 5 days after her surgery. So, and then they were like, you'll need help and all. I said, just take one step away.
Yeah.
I just grabbed her. I told her, you have your left hand. Put that around me. I took her very close to me. I said, let's take you a little at the edge of the chair. I just hugged her, picked her up 90 degrees, and I put her there. It's the technique. You cannot touch the patient like this. It has to be a firm grip. These grips are very important. The technique is very important. And I did not need anybody. She was completely flaccid with no thoracic stability. I still needed anybody. I use my knee. It's an NDT technique. You make them sit. The pelvis is, supported by your knee, and then you are working with them.
Yes.
You do not need a heavy person or a lot of strength to work with patients. You need technique and you need expertise skill.
Yes.
Please remove this myth completely out. We treat patients who are like 6.2 feet and 100 kgs and everything, and all our therapists are like 5'3", 5'4", everything, and they are very well able to manage.
Yes. So it is said that for neurophysiotherapy, you only need hands-on. Theory is not that important. With good hands-on, you can treat patients. So
No.
is it true?
No, it's not true. You need a combination of both. You have to have theory knowledge. You need to know what has happened, why it's happened, what is going to, work for the patient. Read up on the research papers. Everything is very important. There is no one thing that's going to get you to treat the patient better.
So is the patient's dedication and hard work that you give to your patients is really rewarding at last, or what do you feel?
Of course. Oh my God. You see a patient on bed and then after 5 months he's walking and doing everything on his own.
Yes.
Trust me, you're giving a next life to them.
Yes.
It's almost like that. It's so satisfying, and the whole journey is challenging. No 2 days are same for a neurophysiotherapist. So it's really fantastic. You're learning every day from every patient. Even if you've seen like 5 stroke patients in a day, they all are very different.
Yes.
So it's a fantastic journey. I'm still learning,
Yes.
and I'm going to continue learning about it.
Yes. And last but not the least, what is that one piece of advice you would like to give to the aspiring neurophysiotherapist or the students who are currently doing their bachelor's? Like, what is that one thing they need to learn from their physiotherapy journey or in the upcoming years?
I think focus on anatomy, biomechanics. That's really given very less importance. Know your stuff really well. At the back of your mind, don't say, "Oh, second year mein kiya tha to yaad nahi hai." It doesn't work like that. It has to be at the tip of your tongue. And invest in great courses or what you want to do. Invest in learning. It's very important. Don't be impatient. It's always going to reward you. And just have fun. That's one thing. Just have
Yes.
fun while treating patients, and it'll just be very, very, acknowledging eventually.
So thank you, Dr. Dhwani.
Thank you so much.
It was great having you, and we really learned a lot and also got to know much about neurophysiotherapy. So it was great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope that you all found this video useful too. And if you all did, then please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. And also
Yes.
don't forget to check out both our Instagram pages, Miran by Dr. Dhwani and the Physiomedic. You'll surely find some more interesting reels there. So make sure that you'll check out. You'll find the links in the description box. So that was it. Bye.
Bye.
So can you show us around your studio?
Of course, please come in.
Let's go.
So this is a space where we have our patients come in, they register the forms and everything here. So our receptionist sits here and everything. This is our bed that is there. It moves up and down. It's a motorized bed, which is very important for neuro patients. So I'll show you that. So it moves up and down. One of our very, very important and amazing work is this track that you can see. So we can take it down and there's a harness and we can attach that and you can take the weight off of the patient and eventually they can move around and everything. So it's a basically body weight harness. So it's two types. There is one this and the other one is our treadmill. It's attached there. So then what happens is they can also start working on the rhythm. Yes. Okay. That's my cabin, my lovely cabin here, and this is our Pilates reformer, where we do a lot of work with individuals, to patients and everything like that, a group therapy and stuff. Yes. This is the most important thing. This is my Neuro Pilates for neurological patients. This becomes a reformer and the bed. And this is one of our favorite pieces of equipment because we can do so much. We can do more than 10,000 exercises on this. Yes. And it just takes the recovery process to double, triple. These are our good, really nice equipments. We have the cones, we have the sensory disc, very important. I'll show it to you all. Yeah. So this, you can start working on them with uneven surfaces here. Yes. So we do a lot of work on that front, to train them better. So this is a whole ball and the mat and everything. This is the motor. This is the Pilates motor. I feel every physio should invest. For home sessions, they can just take this, learn it. It works very well for strengthening, for balance, everything. It just is really a lot of fun. This is a favorite piece again. Our robotics. It is one of the best pieces of the world, I feel. It doesn't just concentrate on one joint. It concentrates on upper limb, lower limb, ADLs, a lot of cognitive work. So the games are very well planned for neurological cases. So I feel it's one of the most versatile products ever. Now, this is the Mend. So this helps to do static balance. It's an unstable surface. So it kind of works on that, like this. So that's really, really nice. Now we go on to this. So there is a mat that comes right now. You can stand on it and do weight bearing assessment. So especially with patients with stroke or Parkinson's, you see one side is always more affected than the other. So they can see how it is, so difficult for them to kind of do things. So that works very well. They can assess that. You can also assess how much sway they have. So it's on a stable surface and that's on unstable surface. Come. This is a hand activity table. We do a lot of hand activity. We have the FES that is there. So for functional electrical stimulation for patient with stroke. And our most famous play sports. I think people love this. And this we use not just for, actually it's used for sports rehab, but we use it so much for neuro rehab, rehab and functionality, cognitive work, everything. This is a chair. I feel chair Pilates is one of the best equipment for working on eccentric control. Now, what is eccentric control? When you have patients with, disorders, walking up the stairs you will hear it's very easy, but going down is difficult. That requires control. So that is really done very well on chair Pilates. These are our washrooms and changing rooms, which obviously we need. And this is our sweet little pantry where we spend a lot of time eating and drinking and having beverages. So this is a small little clinic of ours, and we're very proud of what we build. People love coming here. So I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Yes, thank you so much for showing us around. It was really a great.
Thank you.